Greetings. Yeah, anyways, so the thing I want to talk about today is the phenomenon of what I call the art of seeing around corners. Now, what that basically means is the following. Okay, let me give you a practical example. Right, the art of seeing around corners. Basically speaking, this is what I mean. Let's say this is where you are. Let's say this is a building or whatever. Being able to see around that corner. Right, that's basically what I'll be talking about today. So now, I'm not going to make this long. If you look at Facebook, why is Facebook such a massive phenomenon? It's obviously because of a combination of things. But one of the main things is, if you look at social networks, when they registered and they were like a social network, no one else knew what a social network was. Does that make sense? If you look at Microsoft, when Bill Gates was registering Microsoft, I'm not saying he did register it as a software company, I'm trying to give you perspective here. So yeah, that's what this is about. When Bill Gates registered Microsoft as a software company, no one knew what that was, because you had a bunch of people that were coding and but there wasn't really what you would call a software company. Even with Apple, when Apple gave us the first desktop computer, at that time, if you look at computers, these things, they were the size of, let's say, a room, sometimes the size of a house or whatever. So when they gave us these things, in essence, that phenomenon can be described as the art of seeing around corners. What do I mean by that? It's very simple. What I mean by that is, if everyone else, or by the time everyone else is catching up with desktop computers, guess what? You are already the best in what you do. You are already the biggest thing on the block. Does that make sense? I mean, if you look at Facebook, by the time WhatsApp and Twitter and everyone else started catching up, and Snapchat, Facebook was already the biggest thing with the biggest number of participants, subscribers, whatever you want to call it. If you look at Microsoft by the time you had everyone else developing software, Microsoft was already, let's say, on at least 80 to 90% of the computers being used as an operating system. Does that make sense? So in essence, what is it that I'm trying to get at? The point that I'm trying to get at is, speed is important. He who reaches the finishing line first ends up the winner. Now, in your case, what advantages do you have? How are you seeing around corners? What do you know that the people around you, or the people in the room with you right now, what is it that you know that they don't? How are you seeing around corners? Because the phenomenon of seeing around corners, it's very simple. It's basically about having an advantage. That's it. Something is coming, I can see what's coming. There's a new trend, there's a new this, there's a new that that's coming. I can see it. So I'm heading for the finishing line first. You still figuring out like what you should do, what you could do, what you were supposed to have done. Meanwhile, I'm hitting the finishing line. So that's something I would like for you to think about. Hitting the finishing line first, and the art of seeing around corners.